Hello, my name is Ksenia Koroleva. I'm a teacher of English, and today I would like to present you an interview with one of my students, Alexander Solotko, who entered Stanford University. We have recorded this interview immediately after Sasha entered Stanford. That is why today he's going to tell you about his process of preparation, process of studies, and entering the university itself. So, enjoy. Hello. Today we are going to have an interview with one of my students, Alexander Solotko, who has entered this year to Stanford. He will tell us about his process of entering, probably a little bit, and how difficult it was altogether. So, give us a few words about why did you choose this university and how everything was.
The answer to the question why did I choose this university is pretty simple, because it accepted me. Not one of the best choices, of course, but probably, yeah.
What do you mean not one of the best choices?
Of course, it's a good university, but I was expecting for the other universities too.
What sort of universities?
I don't know, for example, Columbia University, for example, Harvard University.
And they didn't accept you, but they put you in
Yes, they put me in a waiting list.
In a waiting list. Yeah. What about other universities? Did any other universities accept you as well?
Yeah, there were a few. For example, New York University, Dartmouth, Amherst College is a pretty good one.
So the bottom line is, if you want to enter one of the biggest universities, you have to apply to a number of them,
yeah,
and collect the solid package of documents.
For example, a certificate from school with your grades, the recommendations from your teachers.
The certificate should be really with high grades.
With high grade, high as possible, yeah. Then you have to pass 2 exams. First is SAT.
That's English.
Yeah.
English exams for all, but SAT is a school exam for American schools. And you also have to take math and logics and physics. That's
SAT
a mixture of
yeah.
subjects, and English as grammar and vocabulary and the ability to write a composition, because you also have to write a composition within that exam. And the average points are, the highest point is 1600. However, to enter Harvard or Stanford, you have to minimum have something like
you have to minimum have 1520,
meaning 1520 points.
That's
which
minimum.
Is extremely a lot.
The second exam, of course, is also English. It's called TOEFL. 100% of universities accept TOEFL.
What is the score?
The maximum score at TOEFL you can get is 120. The minimum you should get is probably 110.
So no less than 110
yeah.
for a major university.
Of course, if you're aiming at Ivy League, for example, like Harvard, Columbia, Dartmouth, etc.
Stanford is not an Ivy League, the biggest and the best. However, it is the same level, and they are located next to San Francisco, next to Silicon Valley, and a lot of technical guys study there. Like, they have really good program. You were speaking about compositions. What sort of compositions are necessary?
Sort of compositions. So the first one, of course, it depends on the subject the university requires. There is a website where you have to write all those compositions. Of course, you don't have to write them at one time. You have 2 or 3 months before the deadline to write those compositions and send them to the universities. There is one general composition for all the universities. It's the biggest one, approximately 800 words.
And what is the topic? What is the main idea?
The main idea usually is to describe the situation which changed your life, which changed your view on life, for example.
The perception of life, life-changing situation, what happened, why, how, etc. How many words altogether?
Approximately 800.
100 words?
800.
800. 100
words.
Is very short.
It is very short. And of course, some universities require some additional essays. It can be 2 essays, it can be 5, it can be 8
One
essays.
of them can be, why did you choose this university?
It's the most common.
most common. So you
Yeah.
have to think about it. And
It's
write
approximately
it.
150 words or 200 words, so it depends. And of course, some additional questions, like, for example, write a letter to your future roommate, or again, describe the film, for example, which affected you the most. Tell us about the person, the celebrity person you admire, for example. So, yeah.
I hear that in America they have this visits to universities. How important are they when they consider your application?
Of course, there are such college tours which all United States future students do. So they basically visit a bunch of universities, from 5, for example, to 10, in which they want to attend. They affect the attendance, but not as greatly as I expected. Of course, you can visit.
Does it help, by the way, in choice?
I think that it helps because the university tells you about itself, so which programs they have, which majors they have. Of course, it helps you to know more about the faculty staff, the students which study there, because all those tours are held by current students, so sophomores or even some freshers, for example. So the people who just studied university.
Freshmen.
Freshmen, yeah.
So you can learn from the first hand.
Yeah.
How
And
everything
I
is,
think
whether
it
they enjoy
affects your
studying, etc.
attendance. I think it affects your attendance. Of course, maybe the commission looks that, oh, you attended the tour, so he's so interested in our university that he even flew to the United States and visited our tour. Maybe it helped like that.
Yeah, so they see that you are really motivated to
Yeah.
understand everything. However, not many students are accepted from abroad, or how many from Ukraine, for example, how many students study in major universities?
Ukraine, very small percentage.
Very small percentage. Last year or the year before?
Last year only 2 people entered. This year I think from 3 to 5 people.
From 3 to 5 people from
So
Ukraine.
I know the guy who entered Harvard. I know the guy who entered, if I'm not mistaken, Chicago University.
Chicago University. Okay. So why so little percentage?
Maybe because people find it too challenging to have all this applying process to the university. Maybe they are not so motivated. Maybe they are too afraid to go so far abroad and choose, for example, Germany or
Yes.
France.
Sometimes people are just afraid that it is going to be extremely expensive. However, we should tell you that if you are really a bright student, you are not supposed to be worried about it, because the university can provide you with a scholarship.
By the way, on these college, for example, presentations, they all tell about their financial help. If your family earns less than $15,000 per year.
15 or 50?
$15,000.
Oh, really? So if your
15.
family makes less than 15,
yeah, they give you 100% financial aid. Of course, not all universities do that.
Yes.
Especially for the international students.
However, if they're really interested in taking you,
yeah.
they will do that. And is this the financial aid that you are supposed to work for? Like in the end, you have to give it back somehow?
In most universities, not. But they can. You will receive, if you get financial aid, you'll receive a check where it would say approximate working balance. So, for example, like there is a certain number of dollars which you have to work, for example, on campus to give it back to the university. Like, so it's included in your final check already, and you just simply have to work for it.
Do they provide some money for like day-to-day expenses or something?
Yeah,
like
they do.
this?
They do.
They do, but you have to give that money back, right?
Yes.
And you can work in campus to return that amount. Right. Yeah. But as to general amount of the aid, you are not supposed to. It's not a credit. You are not supposed to give it back.
Yeah.
Okay. However, you of course you have to be prepared to certain expenses because life in the US is really expensive, and there are a lot of videos which tells you how much medical aid cost, internet, etc. Some other expenses are pretty high. What you should do to end? First of all, you are supposed to study English, study really hard.
Study really hard, yeah.
Then you have to
write the SAT and TOEFL exams.
Learn to write essays because you will have
it's
to
really
write
important
a lot.
in both exams and for the future applying. And when you receive the results of the tests, you can receive the, for example, university grades, your recommendations from teachers, and start writing your essays to apply. And then send it all together and wait for the reply from the university.
By the way, I wanted to add one thing, that it is really important if you are, for example, from a foreign country, to check how many students from different countries universities accept. Because, for example, if some universities don't have Ukrainian students at all, they probably will be interested to make their student body more international, and that will also be a plus for you that you are from Ukraine, from some other country. We shall give a list of documents here on the site, and please follow our further interviews and for our other lessons, which probably will help you to master English, to know some details, some peculiarities of English that will probably influence your knowledge of the language. That's it for today. All the best.
All the best.